All right, I'm going to try to not have too much fun with this, but I just couldn't get enough. I didn't want to include this clip in the Tom Cruise class because there's just too much drama. But I didn't want to not include it because it's just too much drama. So this is an old clip from, I think, about 2005, where it's Tom Cruise and Matt Lauer, and they're debating psychiatry, or, the one where they give you the drugs. Like, he's got his Scientology views, he's got his natural views, he's got his views of like, hey, you're not getting to the core, you're just masking the issue with drugs. So he's got some extreme views, but he's also not an idiot. So many years later, Tom Cruise has gone like this in life, right? So as a guy that gets results, it's not like Matt Lauer, where it's like, what happened to Matt Lauer? Well, many years later, we find out that Matt Lauer is not such a great guy. So Matt Lauer is one of these guys who's like all nice and political and polite out here life, but then behind the scenes life, he's making everybody's life fucking miserable. And you have Tom Cruise, you're watching this interview, you're like, man, Tom Cruise is such a fucking dick. Now, many years later, he's a lot more mellow. He's not going to be pushing psychology, or what is it, Scientology. He's not going to be pushing that shit on you. He's just going to shut the fuck up. I'm sure he still has pretty extreme, crazy views, but he's learned to just fucking keep his mouth shut. Okay, I'm watching a time machine. Here's two guys. What are they like 20 years later, right? So there's my best setup. Hopefully you're thoroughly offended. Let's watch some of these clips because I just couldn't get enough of it.
But Tom, if she said that this particular thing helped her feel better, whether it was the antidepressant or going to a counselor or a psychiatrist, isn't that enough?
Matt, you have to understand this. Here we are today, where I talk out against drugs and psychiatric abuses, of electric shocking people, okay, against their will, of drugging children with them not knowing the effects of these drugs. Do you know what Adderall is? Do you know Ritalin? Do you know now that Ritalin is a street drug? Do you understand that?
The difference is this was not against her will, though. This wasn't against Brooke's will. I understand there's abuse of all of these things.
No, you see, here's the problem. You don't know the history of psychiatry. I do.
Aren't there examples, and might not Brooke Shields be an example of someone who benefited from one of those drugs?
All it does is mask the problem, Matt. And if you understand the history of it, it masks the problem. That's what it does. That's all it does. You're not getting to the reason why.
That's a good point. You're not getting the reason why. So it's like Tom's making some good points, but Matt's also like, yeah, but this other stuff is working for some people, right? On this next clip, watch how the Observer is making it all about the information. You got to know the information, guys. Matt.
The thing that I'm saying about Brooke is that there's misinformation. Okay,
Uh-oh.
And she doesn't understand the history of psychiatry. She doesn't understand in the same way that you don't understand it, man.
But a little bit what you're saying, Tom, is you say you want people to do well, but you want them to do well by taking the road that you approve of, as opposed to a road that may work for them.
No, I'm not.
Well, if antidepressants work for Brooke Shields, why isn't that okay?
I disagree with it.
Right? Like, why? Like, how do you argue with that? It's like, hey, I was depressed and I took some antidepressants and I'm doing great. Like, why are you fucking bugging me, right? The problem that Tom is getting at, and we see this now 20 years later, it is true that a lot of people that they are in a very abusive state. And this is coming from the doctors, right? The doctors, like, what was the lady, Anna, that we did a few weeks ago? The doctor, she's like, yeah, I prescribed this stuff and I've been watching this for decades and it's gotten really fucking bad. Like, people are like layered with drugs. But Tom's got some reasonable points. Matt's got some reasonable points. But what Matt is doing is he's trying to do some play energy. He's trying to do some feminine DE. He's trying to like not go all in and be judgmental. And you see with Tom, with the demon play, right? With the super double activated sleep. This is where you see like double activated sleep inner world, where Tom is going, look, I did the research. I have a way. I have the understanding. I did all the SI and I got to the NE. And he's like locked in on that inner world and there's not the play there. You know what I mean? So this is an example of where you're seeing that play last come through of like, I have a point of view. I've done more sleep energy than you, and I'm not going to move masculine DE. You should.
And I think that there's a higher and better quality of life. And I think that promoting, for me personally, see, you're saying, what, I can't discuss what I want to discuss?
No, you absolutely can.
But Matt, you're going in and saying that I can't discuss that.
I'm only asking, isn't there a possibility that, do you examine the possibility that these things do work for some people? That yes, there are abuses, and yes, maybe they've gone too far in certain areas. Maybe there are too many kids on Ritalin. Maybe electric shock.
Too many kids on Ritalin, Matt.
I'm just saying, but aren't there examples where it works?
Matt, you're glib. You don't even know what Ritalin is.
No, you can't say that. You can't say Matt Lauer, Matt, you're glib. You're discrediting your point of view. Because Tom, even the good points that he has, which he has a lot of good points at the core, they may be extreme, and they get into Scientology and a whole bunch of other fucking mess, right? But Tom is not way off to say, hey, maybe we shouldn't be overdoing the drugs, right?
If you start talking about chemical imbalance, you have to evaluate and read the research papers on how they came up with these theories, Matt. Okay, that's what I've done. And you go and you say, where's the medical test? Where's the blood test that says how much Ritalin you're supposed to get?
It's very impressive to listen to you because clearly you've done the homework and you know the subject.
And you should. And you should do that also because just knowing people who are on Ritalin isn't enough. You should be a little bit more responsible in knowing
I'm not prescribing Ritalin, Tom, and I'm not asking anyone else to do it.
Well, you are. You're saying, no,
I know some people who seem to have been helped.
But it's like, this is a very important issue.
He's getting him pretty good here. Matt's play energy. The more Tom talks, the more Matt's like, yeah, but you're just saying we have to do everything your way. And Tom is going like, yeah, I mean, no.
This is a very, and you know what, and you're here on the Today Show.
Right.
And to talk about it in a way of saying, well, isn't it okay, and being reasonable about it when you don't know, and I do. I think that you should be a little bit more responsible in knowing what it is, because you communicate to people.
But you're now telling me that your experiences with the people I know, which are zero, are more important than my experiences.
What do you mean by that?
You're telling me what's worked for people I know, or hasn't worked for people I know, and I'm telling you I've lived with these people. And they're better.
Yeah, Matt's getting him on the play there. You see that? Matt's like, hey, a bunch of chaotic, unproven, random information of the tribe, it's kind of working for them. And you can see, like, Tom got stunned a little bit. He's like, what do you mean? So with Tom's parts, what got him into a lot of trouble is that double activated sleep and the youth, the youthfulness of, I have a way, I have things figured out, I've got masculine DE, I got super saver sleep, this is how it works, this is how I've decided, it's my TI way, and I'm going to shove it on you. And that didn't turn out so well, right? And let's say a good portion, whatever, there's some portion of what Tom is saying and believing and understanding that is actually accurate. Hey, we're doing too much drugs, we can at least leave it at that, right? But he's got a good message in there, mixed in with a lot of bullshit, with his crazy functions, with Scientology, with a whole bunch of other horse shit, that then nobody can take any of that because he's getting too shovey. He's not coming at it from non-need, right? And that goes back to like just kind of letting the economy, letting the world, letting society kind of do their flow. If we're going through a time where we're doing way too much of the drugs, like that's going to kind of suck because everybody's going to be overdoing it. Everybody's getting their fucking brains fried over the littlest thing. And that's very fucking true. So last bottom line, what I'm trying to take away from myself, where I'm processing, because I'm just still a young idiot. I'm like the same age Tom was when he was there making a fucking fool of himself, right? I can't wait till I'm 55 or 60. Like I'll be so much more mellowed out and so much less fucking neurotic. And I'll be able to say things a lot more clear. And there's a lot of things that I won't be saying. You know, I'll be like, yeah, I'm going to keep that shit to myself, right? But what I'm seeing with Tom Cruise, watching him grow over time, watching him navigate himself through that, he's been through so much controversies, and that's a fucking good one, is that he still has the same fucking views, but he's just learned to be chill about it, right? Because remember, trying to argue with an IJ who's done the research looks a lot like this.
But I have to yell at you guys.
Okay, Linda, listen, Linda. Okay, then what?
Then you're not listening to me.
Then you're not listening to me.